Chicago, this is the moment, and there is no time to waste. A running back who left everything on the field for this city is running out of options while the salary cap is choking the franchise. A linebacker who was a diamond in the rough is about to slip away to that enemy up north, and an edge rusher with 2 Super Bowl rings just hit the market, and the Bears are going all in. 3 storylines that could change the future of this franchise. 3 decisions Ryan Poles cannot afford to screw up. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a like, because Da Bears do not wait for anybody. News 1, DeAndre Swift. Let us talk about the elephant in the room, or better yet, the bear in the room. DeAndre Swift had a rock-solid season with the Chicago Bears. 1,087 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, 4.9 yards a pop. On paper, that is the kind of production a team usually protects with everything it has. But in the NFL, pretty numbers do not always save contracts. And here is the deal. Swift is in a really tight spot right now because while you and I are sitting here talking, the Dallas Cowboys just locked up Javonte Williams on a 3-year deal. And that Chi-Town just slammed a pretty big door in Swift's face if the Bears decide to move on. It is not just that the market is brutal for running backs. It is that the real landing spots for a player with Swift's profile are drying up one by one like steam off a cup of coffee on a freezing South Side morning. But hold up, because here's what I want to throw at you, and I want you to really think about it. Does it actually make sense to cut DeAndre Swift? I do not think the answer is black and white, and that is exactly what makes this such a messy situation. Let us look at the cold, hard numbers. According to Over the Cap, the Bears are currently $4.11 million over the salary cap. That by itself is a red flag situation. Ryan Poles has to be a straight-up cap wizard in the next few weeks because this team still needs to beef up the defensive line, still has to figure out how to keep Kevin Byard III, maybe Nahshon Wright too, and those are not cheap conversations. Cutting or trading Swift would free up $7.47 million in cap space, $7.5 million, folks. In NFL cap language, that is a blessing. That is the difference between signing a real impact edge rusher or having to settle for whatever is left on the free agent bargain rack after all the good ones are gone. And this is where I think Poles has a real dilemma. It is not just Swift versus the cap. It is Swift versus the immediate future of this defense. Because if you use that space to strengthen your pass rush, your run D, your coverage, then Chicago takes a legitimate step forward in terms of being competitive. But if you hang on to Swift and the team finishes under 500 again, then what did that loyalty really do for you? Now, I am not going to pretend Swift is just another name on a cut list. This dude was legitimately good in Ben Johnson's first year as head coach. Swift was the engine of the Bears' ground game while the offense was still trying to figure out its identity. 34 catches for 299 yards and another touchdown through the air. Swift was not just toting the rock. Swift was the safety valve for Caleb Williams whenever the heat got turned up. But here comes the question everybody in Chicago is asking, and I am asking it too. Can Kyle Monangai do the same thing? Monangai is playing on a very team-friendly deal. Young, hungry, flash some real juice in that first year in the league. If the Bears believe Monangai can take on the lead back role, the economics start to look pretty obvious. Let me ask you this. How many times have we seen a team in the NFL sacrifice a good running back so it can pour resources into the trenches and end up winning more? A lot. Way too many to count. The Chiefs did it, the Eagles did it, and those teams have rings to show for it. I think Ryan Poles is going to look at this with a whole lot of caution. Swift was very vocal about wanting to stay in Chi-Town, said straight up in public that Swift wants to keep being part of this Bears project, and that says a lot about who Swift is as a pro and as a person. Nobody can take that away. But the NFL is not a loyalty business. It is a hard decision with a calculator in your hand business. The deeper issue is this. The Bears need to fix their pass rush before they talk about anything else. They finished 22nd in the league with only 35 sacks last season. In a conference where the Packers, Lions, and Vikings are not exactly standing still, you cannot live with that. And to improve your pass rush, you need cap space that Swift is eating right now. The Dallas situation with Williams matters because before that contract, the Cowboys were one of the few teams that might realistically have gone after a running back like Swift. The Denver Broncos, the Minnesota Vikings, the New York Jets are also possible fits, but those teams are all juggling their own cap fires. Running backs, as the market keeps proving over and over, are at the back of the line when it comes to big money. It is not fair, but it is how this league works. And I will say this as straight as I can. If the Bears let Swift walk, I hope Swift lands in a good spot and puts up a season that makes the whole league remember what Swift can do. Because when this player is healthy and in a system that knows how to use that skill set, we are talking about a top-tier running back. We saw it in Philadelphia before the move to Chicago. We saw it here too. But Chicago, Navy, and Orange Faithful has to think team first. And if cutting ties with DeAndre Swift means Ryan Poles can go get that missing pass rusher, that needed linebacker, or lock down the key defensive pieces that make this unit special, then I really think Poles is going to pull the trigger. The question that sticks with me after all this is just one. Can Kyle Monaghan carry the Bears' backfield by alone in 2026 and push this team into the playoffs? That answer sits with Poles, with Ben Johnson, and we're all going to find out soon enough. But right now, Swift's future in Chicago is shakier than the February weather in this city, and that Bears fans should give you something to chew on. If that caught you off guard, wait till you hear what is next, because Chicago still has more decisions coming that are going to shake this franchise from the inside out. News 2, Leo Chenal, DeMarco Jackson. All right, let us swing over to the defense, where the monsters of the Midway either live or die. And I have two pieces of news here that are more connected than most people are realizing. The first is about a linebacker who turned into a breakout story for Chicago in the second half of last season and is now squarely on the Detroit Lions' radar. The second is about a free agent linebacker who might be the smartest, most cost-effective move Ryan Poles makes all offseason. We are talking DeMarco Jackson and Leo Chenal, so strap in because this is going to shake the board. Let us start with DeMarco Jackson. This player was 27 when last season kicked off, looked at as a special teams guy, a preseason depth pickup, somebody you toss on the back end of the roster hoping for some kick coverage snaps. That was the ceiling. That was all anyone expected from Jackson when Jackson came over tied to Dennis Allen, and then came the moment nobody was really waiting for, but every Bears fan is going to remember. First NFL start against the Pittsburgh Steelers under the lights at Soldier Field. 15 combined tackles, 1 tackle for loss, rock solid in coverage, allowing just 20 yards on 4 catches. The Chicago defense did not blink, did not miss a beat, played at the same level it would have with a penciled-in starter. That is the moment where I think Chicago stumbled into a diamond in the rough without even looking for it. And that right there is one of the most valuable things that can happen to an NFL team. You find real talent where you were only hoping for depth. But here's the part that worries me, and I am asking this dead serious. What happens if the Detroit Lions throw down an offer that the Bears cannot or will not match? Think about it. Alex Anzalone, Detroit's starting linebacker, is headed to free agency. The Lions need somebody to replace that leadership in the middle of their defense. DeMarco Jackson is exactly the kind of player Kelvin Shepard would want to bring in. High upside linebacker, cheap contract. SpotRack has Jackson's market value at just $1,200,000 for 1 year. 1 year, $1.2 million. In NFL cap language, that is basically pocket change. And here's the kicker. The Lions could easily toss in more than just that 1.2. They can offer something maybe more important, a clear path to a starting job. Something Chicago might not be able to promise right now, especially if the Bears bring in a linebacker in the draft or if Tremaine Edmunds is not taken off the roster. And here is the core problem. Look at the Bears linebacker depth chart. If Jackson walks, you have Noah Sewell coming off an Achilles injury in Week 17 last season. You cannot build a plan on that like it is a sure thing. You have Ruben Hippolyte, a 4th-round pick who had a pretty disappointing rookie year, mostly stuck on special teams because of injuries. You have Dominique Hampton and Nephi Sewell, both on futures deals, which means they are not even locks to make the final 53, and Amin Ogbongbemiga already got cut this week. That is the picture Chicago is staring at if Jackson gets away. A linebacker room with more question marks than answers, more gamble than stability, and with T. Jay Edwards also coming off a major injury in the playoffs. The whole situation gets even shakier. So let me put it straight. Can Ryan Poles really afford to lose DeMarco Jackson with that kind of depth behind the starters? I do not think so. I think Chicago has to do damn near everything possible to keep this player, even if it means sitting down and having a real talk about Jackson's role in this defense going forward. Now let us flip to the other side of this defensive equation, because there is another piece out there on the market that might fix the linebacker issue in a way Bears fans are not even picturing yet. Leo Chenal, 4 seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs, 65 games played, 45 starts, 218 total tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits, 6 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and here is the big thing. Over the last 2 seasons, Chenal's Pro Football Focus grades put this linebacker among the best in the entire league. In 2024, Chenal posted an overall PFF grade of 83.5, fifth out of 83 linebackers. Run defense grade of 90.2, fourth in the whole league. Coverage grade of 75.0, sixth in the league. Those are not role player numbers. That is legit elite linebacker production. And in 2025, even though the numbers dipped a bit, Chenal was still an impact player, finishing 18th overall out of 88 linebackers and 11th in coverage. The consistency is absolutely there. Here's the part that makes me think this could be the sneaky signing of the whole offseason for Chicago. SpotTrack projects Chenal at 3 years, $13.9 million, roughly $4.6 million per year, $4.6 per season for a linebacker with elite PFF grades, 25 years old, 6'5", 250 pounds, coming out of Andy Reid's pressure cooker system. Meanwhile, the Bears are paying Tremaine Edmunds $17.4 million per season, almost 4 times what Chenal would cost. Now tell me, does that add up? I think those numbers deserve a very hard look, because if Chicago can bring in Chenal at that price, you are not just adding a high-quality linebacker to the group, you are also buying long-term flexibility at the position. Edmunds has 1 more year on that deal. Chenal is 25 and in the prime window. The math here leans heavily in the Bears' favor, and there is another factor people are not talking about enough: Chenal's coverage chops. Last season, Chenal allowed 12 catches on 14 targets for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. That is absolutely workable for an NFL linebacker in today's game. Now put that next to Edmunds, who allowed 56 catches on 71 targets for 530 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yes, Edmunds saw more coverage snaps, but that efficiency gap is real. Chenal is exactly the kind of player Dennis Allen can move around in multiple looks, strong enough to scrap in the box against the run, agile enough to drop into zone or carry backs and tight ends in coverage. In modern football, that versatility is gold. So here's my stance. If Ryan Poles does not at least pick up the phone and call Leo Chenal's agent this week, that is the kind of mistake this fan base is not going to forget anytime soon. This is the kind of addition that separates good general managers from the great ones. Bears fans, think about it. You have a realistic shot at keeping DeMarco Jackson for around $1.2 million and adding Leo Chenal at $4.6 per year. Those 2 moves together cost you under $6 million in cap space and give Dennis Allen 2 linebackers with starter-level upside for the next few years. But there is still one more piece to this Bears defensive puzzle, and this one comes from a place you probably did not see coming. News 3, Mike Danna, Navy and Orange faithful. We already broke down DeAndre Swift's future. We dug into the linebacker situation with Jackson and Chenal, and now we have come to what I think is the single most urgent opportunity on the table right now. An opportunity that showed up on Monday with the name Mike Danna in big, bold letters. The Kansas City Chiefs released Mike Danna, an edge rusher taken in the 5th round of the 2020 draft, who was a real piece of both back-to-back Super Bowl runs in 2022 and 2023. A player who racked up 17 sacks and 129 pressures, over 1,532 pass rush snaps in the first 4 seasons per Pro Football Focus. And here is the thing. When a player with that resume hits the street, you do not just look the other way. Especially when your team finished 22nd in the league with only 35 sacks last year. Now, I know what you are thinking. Danna had a rough stretch. Yeah, no doubt the last 2 years in Kansas City were disappointing. In the first 2 seasons of that 3-year, $24 million deal, Danna produced only 4.5 sacks and 38 pressures on 551 snaps. And last year was worse. 1 sack, 9 pressures in 192 snaps. But let me ask this. How many times have we seen an NFL player go cold in one system and then get their career back on track in another. Happens all the time, more than people admit. Injuries are a huge part of Mike Danna's story in Kansas City. A string of physical setbacks knocked Danna out of rhythm, messed up the timing, and kept Danna from really syncing up with that Chiefs defense. That context matters. You cannot judge a banged-up player like that is the same version you would get with a clean bill of health. Here's the argument I think the Bears should be locked in on. Danna does not have to be the star of Chicago's pass rush. Montez Sweat is already that alpha in the group. Gervon Dexter broke out in year 2. Austin Booker proved to be a strong rotational piece with 4.5 sacks. Shamar Turner is coming back from that ACL with something to prove. Grady Jarrett, even after a disappointing first season in Chicago, still has league-wide respect. What Chicago needs right now is not another superstar edge. What this team needs is depth, a player who has been there in the biggest games, who understands what it takes to play playoff football, and who shows up hungry with something to prove. That is exactly where Mike Danna is at in this moment. If Chicago signs Danna to a deal that is roughly half of what Danna was getting in Kansas City, somewhere in that $3 to $4 million per year range, the risk is low and the upside is very real. That is exactly the kind of move contending teams make in the offseason. They do not bring in Danna expecting Khalil Mack. They sign Danna expecting a solid contributor who raises the floor and the ceiling of the rotation. Look at the bigger picture, with Sweat screaming off one edge, Danna crashing from the other, Dexter and Turner pushing the pocket inside. The other team's offensive coordinator has a serious headache. Because in football, the scariest pass rushes are not the ones with one big-name star. They are the ones with 4 or 5 rushers who can all win in waves. Let me throw this one at you. What happens if Danna finds that best version again in Chicago? I think you are suddenly looking at the kind of pass rush Dennis Allen needs to turn this defense into something that keeps NFC North quarterbacks up at night. The Packers are not asleep. Jordan Love is getting better, and if you cannot get in that backfield and make Love uncomfortable, you are in trouble. And there is another angle here that I think is huge. Ryan Poles still has every opportunity to add another pass rusher in the draft or in free agency when things officially open on March 11th. Signing Danna does not close a single door. What it does is guarantee that if the big swing you want is not available or does not fit the budget, you still have a proven quality player to plug into that spot. Timing matters here. Danna just hit the market. Free agency does not officially open until March 11th. But teams can already start feeling things out, and I would bet good money the Bears are not the only ones circling Mike Danna right now. There are other pass rush needy teams in this league that are already checking in. If Chicago wants this player, the front office has to move with urgency, and that same urgency is exactly what the Bears need to show all offseason if they want to jump from up and coming to a team that can realistically talk about reaching the Super Bowl. Bear down, Chicago. The time to build this defense is right now, and Mike Danna could be one of the cheapest, most impactful pieces of that puzzle if Poles moves quickly. This feels like one of those chances you do not pass up while waiting for something prettier. Sometimes the right move is not the flashy one. Sometimes the right move is signing the hungry vet with 2 rings in the drawer and fire in the eyes, and then letting that player remind the league what is still left in the tank. Bears fans, we're wrapping up this video, and I need you to hang with me just a little longer because what we covered today is not light stuff. This is the future of our franchise playing out in real time, and you have to be part of the conversation. First, DeAndre Swift. This player gave everything to Chicago, ran with heart, and is now stuck in a brutal crossroads. I want to hear straight from you. Jump into the comments right now and tell me, should the Bears cut DeAndre Swift to free up cap space and load up the defense? Or should they find a way to keep Swift in town? I want to read every single take. Do not stay quiet. Second, the linebacker situation. There is DeMarco Jackson, who might end up with the Detroit Lions, our own division rival, for barely $1.2 million. And there is Leo Chenal sitting out there as a free agent, a linebacker who has been top 10 in the entire league on PFF for 2 straight seasons, available at around $4.6 million per year. I am asking this with all the urgency in the world. Does Ryan Poles sign Leo Chenal and keep DeMarco Jackson, or let both walk and roll the dice on the draft? That question deserves an answer in the comments right now. And third, Mike Danna, the pass rusher who won 2 Super Bowls with Kansas City. is free, and the Bears badly need to juice up their pass rush. People always say you have to give hungry players a second shot. Do you think Danna can revive that career in Chicago and be the running mate Montez Sweat needs to really wreck the NFC North? That is my last question, and I want to see it answered in the comments loud and clear. Now listen up, because this matters. This channel is not just another Bears news channel. This is family. This is the Navy and Orange community that wakes up every morning thinking about how this team is going to take that next step. This is the space where your opinion matters, where nobody is going to shut you down, and where the love for Da Bears is the first and last word. If you are part of this family, if this video gave you info you did not see anywhere else, if you felt that fire in your chest that only Chicago fans really understand, then hit that like button right now. One like, that is all I am asking. That little click tells the algorithm this content is worth it, and it lets us keep bringing you the best Bears breakdowns every single day. And if you still have not subscribed to the channel, this is your moment. Smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Because I promise you, tomorrow we are coming back with even more Big Bears news, and you cannot afford to miss it. Free agency opens March 11th, and this offseason is going to be one of the wildest in recent franchise history. Chicago, bear down, Day Bears forever. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Familia.